Inside Out 2 is doing phenomenally well at the box office, saving the Walt Disney Company, which has lately been absolutely flailing in every way possible. But who exactly is supporting this film at this level, blowing up all the records? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to tell you we know the secret sauce behind the film. We know where the success is coming from. We can tell you exactly how Disney did this and why we were not wrong. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we endeavor, as always, to explain entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. It is a joy, as always, to be joined with Culture Casino and yet another video of excellence. Culture, welcome back.
Well, thanks for having me, Pro. And I would say that we have some unprecedented success. And the only reason I say that is because it's been so long since Disney's had this kind of success. So,
there's something interesting to Culture. This is what's so. Disney actually, if you look at the attendance of this film, this is actually standard Pixar attendance prior to the pandemic. But the number that's attached to it with the box office is far higher than usual. In fact, it's Pixar's second best ever because of the inflation of movie ticket prices. In terms of attendance, this is standard. But, I don't want to rain on the parade. It's still a fantastic success for a Disney that cannot succeed at every turn.
I believe opening weekend scored them actual 12 million butts in seats, for lack of a better way to put it. And that's competing with the likes of Barbie, which had 13 million butts in seats.
Exactly. And you know what? Actually, Culture, I think that this film has so much in common with Barbie, and we can explain the success of this film by understanding the success of Barbie. It's kind of difficult to do so because you and I, Culture, I know folks might be confused by this. We're not women. And, our audience tends to also skew male. But I want to show you this, Culture. Last week, I suppose, 4 days ago, I had a video out called Inside Out 2 projected to have half the audience of the original. And this was based on what the industry analysts were saying. You can go back and find this. The film widely was being considered to make somewhere between $70 and $100 million. And when you extrapolated out the price per ticket, you figured out that meant half the audience of the original. Now, obviously, the industry official projections were wrong and dramatically wrong. This thing is doubling the low end of the projections. Take a look at this out of Reuters. Inside Out 2 domestic box office debuts at $155 million. Again, folks, we're going to tell you how this happened in just a minute. And you're going to hear some stuff that you might not hear anywhere else. Hang tight, we'll get there. Animated Pixar movie Inside Out 2 generated an estimated $155 million in U.S. and Canadian ticket sales over the weekend, the year's largest debut, according to estimates released on Sunday. The Friday through Sunday tally, and Culture, here's the great thing for Disney. They're not having to do any of those 5-day weekend, 4-day weekend nonsense kind of totals. This is flat out, it made this much. There's no arguing with it. The Friday through Sunday tally topped the $82.5 million brought in by previous box office leader Dune Part 2 in March. Here's another fun statistic, folks. Inside Out 2 in 3 days made more than Wish. Now think about that. Now, Culture, before I go any further, I want to ask you this. Let me go here. Let's talk about Wish for a moment. Disney has seen incredible highs. They've seen incredible lows. When Disney releases Wish, they get nothing. They lose $200 million. When they release Inside Out 2, they're going to make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And they've got a female phenom right now at the box office. Culture, what's the difference? What's the difference in Inside Out 2 and Wish that creates this chasm in terms of economic disparity? You're muted, Culture. You're muted like Wish was.
Sorry, no kidding. No, actually, that's part of the problem. Wish was muted. But see, the difference is knowing and catering to your audience, Pro.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Wish, here's what I would say. Wish was dull. Wish was boring. Wish was woke. And guess what? It's no joke. Inside Out 2, for the most part, stays away from woke. Now, it is philosophically, softly woke on the inside because it's a moral relativist message about Riley in the end. But that's so obscured by all the rest of the stuff that families and other people are probably unlikely to notice it. It's not blatant. It's not in your face. It's not in the marketing. There is no obvious love interest from Riley to another, in the vein of what we've seen out of woke films. And so it turns out that if Disney will just shut up and stop making divisive content, they make tons and tons and tons of money. And if I'm an investor, I'm going to start demanding that. All right, we've held the audience too long, Culture. Let's show them right now what the secret sauce is that made Inside Out 2 do what it did. And folks, this is the kind of analysis you want to come here for. So we'll show it to you right here. This is out of Box Office Pro. And this is going to tell us the demographics. This is so important. Inside Out 2 made almost $300 million globally. That almost assuredly means it's going to top $1 billion, even with Despicable Me 4 coming out the door in just 2 weeks. It says, even our high-end estimates. See, folks, poor Pro was not wrong. I was using the industry analytics. I can't help if the industry's wrong, which put a $100 million opening well within the range of possibility. No. Wait a minute. Culture, they're revisionists now. Well, 100 million was the top end they had. That was the tippy top.
Yeah, they look. They can't afford to take an L, Pro. Come on now, they can't be wrong. They can't even admit when they're wrong.
It was well within the range of possibility. No, it was at the very top of your highest projection you had. Ended up on the conservative side as Disney's Pixar's Inside Out 2 shot through the stratosphere in its #1 opening frame, earning an estimated $155 million. You all already know this. We've already talked about it. Let's go down to where we find out what the secret sauce is. Rotten Tomatoes critic score was 92% certified fresh, while the audience score was 96%. The highest ever audience approval rating for a Pixar title. The film earned an A Cinema score as well as a post-track score of 4.5. Now, the interesting thing here, Culture, is that I don't think Inside Out 2 is a marvelous Pixar film. It's fine. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I do think it's odd, the kind of results it's getting, but when we look at the demographics, it's going to make sense. Here we go. Domestic age demos skewed female. And when we say skewed female, folks, for a cartoon to get a 62% female push, you got to understand, cartoons, especially those aimed at everybody, a Disney film, you would presume, they're about 50%. And if you deviate from that 50-50 at all, that's something. If you get over 60% as being female, this is a girls' movie, flat out girls' movie. 38% male, split across 54% general audience and 23% parents, 23% kids. Let's go down, Culture, because here's the secret sauce. Here's what's happening. This is why this is Barbie 2.0. Mm-hmm. Only 23% of the audience that went to go see Inside Out 2 are kids. Let me say it again. Less than a quarter of the audience for this movie are kids. Teenagers, still only 15%.
Wow.
The majority of this movie's audience are adults, and not by a small amount. Folks, let me say it again. Less than a quarter are kids. 15% are teenagers, and everybody else adults. And it's skewing 63% female, and it's probably going to skew more female over the next week or two. Culture, this is the Barbie crowd. They've come back this year, and for whatever reason, they've chosen Inside Out 2. And I think, Culture, that it has something to do with anxiety. I think that there's a divide in the genders. I think there's a divide in the sexes where men do not perceive anxiety in the way that women do. And women already had a pre-established brand identification with Inside Out. They love little Riley. They love little emotions in her head. And they saw anxiety, and they identify with having to deal with anxiety every day. And I think that Disney found a way to bring back the Barbies. Culture, am I wrong?
No, I think you're 100% right. I think that, first of all, recognizing that there's a reason why we call it the age of majority, which is the adult group of people, that's also that's a realization that Disney should have known for 100 years, ever since they've been making films. But at the same time, they should have also known that if they followed the same pathway as Barbie, they'd be in the money. I think you're right. I think they hooked into the same zeitgeist. This can be a fun, girly movie just like Barbie was, that maybe doesn't connect as much with the male audience. And I think you're also right that repeat viewership and future viewership will largely be driven by a female audience. To me, this is unsurprising. You can, take your kids to go see a movie. I'm not sure, how many people still do that, considering just how expensive films are. But in the groups that you had highlighted there that were 18 and over, that's where your disposable income is all the way through the 50s. Not to mention a phenomenon that started about 10 years ago, or maybe 15 now, where you have Disney adults, and the vast majority of those are women. So I think Disney did something that they haven't been able to do in a long time, which is tap into their built-in audience in a way that, well, would put money in their pockets.
Okay,
Maybe
let
I'm
me ask
wrong.
you a question. Let me ask you a question, Culture.
Hmm.
Less than 40% of the audience for Inside Out 2
Hmm.
are minors. Okay.
Hmm.
More than 60% are adults. More than
Yeah.
60% are female.
Yeah.
Um, Women are flocking to very particular films in a way that the movie industry, I don't think, has ever encountered before. It may be a shift in the way that they spend money. Um, but we are seeing these female anthem films now explode at the box office. But, Culture, I ask you
Hmm.
this. This is the question about it. All this does in my mind, and I think all it should do for investors, is cement the idea that Disney is very well keyed in on women and what
Yeah.
women would like out of the company. The
Yeah.
problem Disney has is that they have not demonstrated since the end of phase 3 for Marvel that they can bring men back to their properties. They get a shot at it with Deadpool and Wolverine. I think they'll succeed, but that may be a flash in the pan. Culture, what is it that Disney needs to do to attract the male audience that they cannot pull in, at least for the past 4 years?
Stop with the chickification of the IPs that you own that would appeal to the boys brands. You bought them for a reason. We've had this discussion ad nauseum at this point, where the reason that Star Wars was acquired was to bring in the boys. Marvel, bring in the boys. Disney knew they had a princess-centric problem for a very long time, and they were trying to mitigate that. Unfortunately, since Walt left the planet, they weren't able to tap into the boys as easily because they shunned ideas of, Daniel Boone and other things they could lean into, that would feel more male, like even a shooting gallery that may be being removed or is being removed, depending.
Frontierland, folks,
Yeah.
Frontierland and Disney.
Yeah.
You can't have guns in the
Yeah.
park and not even
No,
toilets.
and it doesn't matter that those are masculine things, and they're for a good reason masculine things, because you need men to understand how that operates, especially if you're going to be going into uh skirmishes with other entities, right? Which, Disney seems to
Fine, Culture.
pull.
Everything's fine. Everything's going to be
Well, I'm not getting in.
okay.
I'm not getting into that. I'm just saying that even in home defense, but regardless, boys naturally that's just their way of playing, and girls have their way of playing, and girls are interested in people, and boys are interested in things, and it comes down to evolutionary psychology, as almost everything else does. And Disney has decided that they were going to try to evolve a property from a boys brand to a girls brand. So when you talk about how you lose your audience, Disney's great at doing that. Star Wars had appeal to females. It had strong females in it from the very beginning. Obviously, George brings up Princess Leia. He's not wrong. Same thing with Marvel, et cetera, et cetera. You've always had some strong females attached to superheroes. So again, you've always brought in these audiences. Why try to dominate those properties with gynocentric themes and main points, et cetera? Because I think that's where Disney loses their boy audience. I think they've been doing that for, I don't know, 6 to 10 years now, depending upon what brand you look at. So,
And
uh,
at the same time,
uh,
Culture, Hollywood's got to be looking at what's happened now with Barbie and Inside Out 2, and they've got to be saying, for decades, female-centric films, they generated some money. I mean, we can go back and look at some of those. We can go look at Legally Blonde.
yeah,
We can go look at Clueless. We can go look
yeah,
at the female anthem films of the '80s, 16 Candles, all of that.
yeah,
They do fine, but something has happened now where Barbie and Inside Out 2, they're pulling in an audience that is just massive. And I think that's a reconfiguration that Hollywood has to consider. And I'll give you this thought, and you run with it. Tell me what you think. I think there's a strong bifurcation now in the market that's not necessarily political. It's somewhat ideological, philosophical, but really, I think that men and women have never been so different in the last 50 years as to what they want out of entertainment, what they want out of politics, what they want out of so much. I think that we've seen the two sexes drifting farther and farther apart. And now I think that women will go see in mass, these girl movies. I think that guys will go see Top Gun Maverick in mass. They'll go see, Avatar: Way of Water, I guess. I don't know. There's not been a whole lot of movies that have just made guys go, wahoo, maybe John Wick 4. But I think now studios have to consider guy movies, girl movies, and just play to that hard. And then somehow they're still going to have to find 4-quadrant options. But you tell me if I'm wrong, Culture.
I don't know that you're wrong, but I don't know that I'll agree with you fully, because I'll say that there's always been properties that are more female driven, and always been properties that are more male driven. This is cinematic history we're talking.
But the female stuff right now is popping in a way that we've never seen. Is that fair?
Well, I would say that you have more ladies interested in going to films. Possibly, even that I'm not even certain. I think that the realization of income is now tipped. The balance is now tipped in the towards the feminine gland, let's say, rather than the male dominated marketplace. But that's never been any different than before. It's just that these dollars are being spent, and I'm going to get it flamed for this a little more selfishly, rather than considering the other people that may be as parties in your family. You're more likely to go and experience something, and that's a broad term. I'm not painting that on individuals.
But families aren't going to see this. That's what we're looking at.
Right.
That's what's weird about this film.
Right.
And that's what was kind of strange about Barbie. Did little girls go see Barbie? Sure they did. Are little kids going to see Inside Out 2? Sure they are. But there's something odd happening, and that is, to go back to the numbers,
there you go.
These are adult women. The vast majority of this audience is adult women. And for Barbie, the vast majority was adult women. Adult women didn't tend to go to movies at the level that generates this kind of income in the past. Now they are. I think that's a market shift. I'm not applying a positive or a negative narrative to that. I'm just looking at it and going, there are these big now female-driven blockbuster films that are based around matriarchy versus patriarchy, empathy versus conflict. You get the idea, and they do well. But they never do well if they take a male franchise and try to transmogrify it into something feminine. That clearly doesn't work. It's destroyed Phase 4 and Phase 5 of Marvel. It absolutely wrecked Star Wars and continues to do so. But if you start off with a female brand right now, if you're a Hollywood studio, you start off with a female brand and you delve into this kind of stuff, man, big money is waiting for you, apparently.
It's almost like there's a difference between men and women.
You're not allowed to say that, Culture. Of all the things you've said, that's going to get us in the most trouble here. How dare we? No, wait a minute. It's not our fault. Post-track.
What the number said.
Post-track. This is your fault. Box Office Pro, you're the ones who are still identifying people as men and women. We were just victims of your statistics. We have fallen prey to you. Please keep the mobs, the torch burning mobs away from our homes and studios. Oh, geez.
It's almost like words mean things.
Culture, your channel means things, and it means folks can find great content and an understanding of entertainment they won't find otherwise. Tell the folks out there where they can find you and what it is you've got coming up on the docket.
Yeah, actually, you can check out Culture Casino right here. I'm on all the available platforms with the exception of Instagram, although I'm going to remedy that here at the end of the month. I'm also on, That Park Place, WDW Pro, and many of your other favorite channels like Midnight's Edge, occasionally Valiant Renegade, and others. And I talk about entertainment from a business perspective all the time. Been doing it for 4 years, and I try to make it as entertaining as possible. But I do speak rather plainly, which gets me in trouble. So check out my channel. I would truly appreciate it. And later today, you can find another wonderful The Ratings Are Falling video. Only this time we're talking about Doctor Who. And, the catastrophe that's leading it to cancellation, probably.
That's right. Folks, we hope we've explained what's going on with Inside Out 2 in a way that you might not find anywhere else. There is a ravenous now group, a huge swath of adult women who are interested in girly properties in theater, and they'll go spend big money on it. And that's great for theater owners. We're not making any kind of judgment one way or the other as to what we think about these films. We're just saying this is a demographic that's now ready to spend lots and lots of cash. We just hope that Hollywood will continue to fund films that make guys happy and not destroy the franchises that we all loved by trying to transform them into this other thing. Hollywood has a case of sequelitis all the time. Original IP and already existing female IP, that's the way to go to Hollywood if you want to make money off of this, as Disney and Mattel have already discovered. All right, folks, we are going to have the Pro Show today at noon Eastern. It is going to be a fantastic panel. You cannot believe the expertise that you will see. Chris Gore from Film Threat joining us. And folks, we hope you will be there. On your way out the door, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. Check out Vacation Radio, our all-new, all-original music radio station. It's at Vacation Radio. And folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having...
What? What? I put out a tweet of a fat minority with a booger in her nose, and I said, "This is an empowered woman." And Kocho retweeted it.
You don't have your own X account, do you?
Oh, well, I actually created it a while ago. The greatest troll I've pulled off in a long time. Do you know how many things I've secretly tanked?
Oh, gosh, I hope not. That would make me legally culpable. But, what are you talking about?
Sweet Baby Inc.
Huh?
Yep. I'm the...
Shut up.
I'm the CEO. Yeah, no, seriously, look, this is my profile picture. Everyone's just AI. It's great. I'm so excited to gaslight everyone and see what they're gonna like next because they think it's socially obligated.
Wait, so you're... No way, you're
Yep.
the CEO of Sweet Baby Inc.?
Maybe. But first, you should see the jewelry company I created.
We're gonna get sued. Oh.
It's gonna be good.